They've been on overload all of their life. Most of us are 30 years old, 40 years old, 60, 20 years old, whatever it is, and all of our lives, our brains, our computers have been on overload. They're not functioning properly. So then you'll start saying, why do I think these things? Because your brain isn't functioning properly. And the reason it's not functioning properly is because you have not been putting the resistors where they should be so that the brain can have just enough current so that it can work right. If you look on page 56, please, and if you look on page 56 of the material that you were given, you'll see something that's, and remember, everything that you're looking at is documented scientifically. All of this is scientific documentation, okay? But if you look on page 56, you see, that should be, is Orgate on page 56? Yes. Halfway down, it says, Matthew 28:2, there was a stone. The electromagnetic field rolls the stone away from the fornix. The angle causes the arc in the brain receptors. In Egypt, the pyramid was open to an angle of Orion, the gate of God, the OR gate, which is a computer logic circuit. And then it defines a logic circuit, a computer switching circuit that performs problem-solving functions. What problem do you have? You say, well, geez, where do I start? I get all kinds of problems. And you find, why can't I solve these problems? Because the switch isn't opening. The switch isn't functioning. What if you're having the circuit of it? Say you've got this big family problem. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with the kid? What am I going to do with my husband? What am I going to do with my wife? And here's the switch. Now, in order for you, here's the understanding. This will bail you out of the problem. This will bring the money that you need. But there's a switch that's closed, okay? And that in order for you to understand, the switch has got to be open. But there's no current to open the switch. The right amount of current is not coming into the brain to open the switch. And so you're never going to be able to figure this out. And the reason is there's no resistance. And so this circuit is operating on overload. It's not working properly. If you go into a computer, I go into a computer and I put all of this stuff in the computer and I put print and the computer says, bah, 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 nah, not enough memory, not enough memory. I don't get anything. And I get frustrated. And I'm frustrated and the computer's frustrated because what the heck? I spent all of this money, and you can't do this. Why didn't this stupid fool that sold me this thing tell me it doesn't have enough in here so that it knows to do this? But it didn't. Why? In other words, the IBM guy that sold me this said, it's up to you to put the amount of RAM into that. So you have to increase the RAM. And you know what happened when you were born? God said, it's up to you to pay attention to this thing and put the RAM and put the resistance in there that's required. Not me. I'm not going to do it for you. You do it. And what did you do? Do you know, do you have any idea that in the middle of a computer, in the point of memory, is a thing called RAM? Do you know that? Will you look at page 16? Will you look at page 16? On page 16b, in the middle of your brain, is a thing called Amon's horn. Amon's horn. And if you look at page 16b, Amon's horn.
It's a ram.
And Amon's horn is the name of an Egyptian deity whose symbol is the ram. In the middle of your brain, you have a structure called RAM. In the middle of a computer is a structure called RAM. And they are both in the part of the brain responsible for memory. And so what do? Are you working on it? No, you go to church. And then you wonder, do you have a car? Do you have a car? Should you have a car? You have a car?
Bro, this guy's a genius.
Do you know how to drive it? Wouldn't it be great if you had a car and say, well, my car's down in the parking lot. Well, would you drive me over? I don't have to. Well, why don't you learn? I don't know. My church told me not to touch that. I can't get involved with that. My church says I'm not allowed to touch the car. So your car sits there. Huh? Here's your television. That's a beautiful television. Oh, that's a good television. That's RCA TV. Look at that. 36 inches. Turn it on. I don't touch it. What do you mean I don't touch it? My church said, the pastor said, never touch that. Devils will come out. We go in there and we kneel down with it. We kneel. We go like this in places where these fools go up there saying, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. You'll go blind. You know what they say? Same thing. Same thing. And so all I'm asking you to do is say, do you care about your health? Do you care about your body? Do you care about your mind? Start treating your mind and your brain as an adult. And start considering the fact that as an adult, you have a responsibility to learn how to operate the computer that you have between your ears. You have missed 90% of life because you've only used 10% of your brain. And you're being instructed how to use this, you see? And so we found here that the gate which is closed, that gate is in the circuits of the brain. And Jesus says that at the part of the resurrection that he's going into Galilee, which means circuit. And look how important this is. How important is that word circuit? Look on page 57. And look how important this is. We're just about out of here, so just bear a couple of more minutes and you're gone. But if you look at the important derivatives of the word circuit, EI on page 57, you go down through January, Janus for Archway, Ionis, the god of doors. Look at that, Rich. You see that? The god of doors. And then you get to Hinayana and Mahayana, which is the Sanskrit, in Buddhism, the mode, the knowledge, the way. And Jesus said, the way is narrow, and few there be who find it. The way is narrow, and few there be who find it. Because I'll tell you something. You know, when you think about this, you know what happened yesterday in Iran? They had an earthquake. Almost 3,000 people that were alive the day before yesterday are dead now. And so what am I saying, you know, that if they had meditated, this whole world is subject to what's coming out of your head. And that's what Buddha said thousands of years ago. He said the reason that you have this total upheaval in the atmosphere and in the environment is because all the negative vibrations coming out of the brains of billions and billions of people all over the place, causing all of the stuff. It's the same thing that when you go into your house sometimes you get bad vibes. Where are they coming from? Sometimes you brought them with you. Sometimes that house was beautiful. Everybody was singing. Everything was going. And you were in a mood. I have had that happen to me. I'm in a mood. And as soon as you open the door, you come into the house. I'm in a mood. How are you, dear? How'd it go? I don't want to talk. In a rotten mood. And so what do? You retreat to your room. Close the door. I'll fix everything. I will stay here in my room until somebody begs me to come out. That's the way I'll fix. And so you cause all of this stuff. Or else you go into the house and you're feeling great. How are you today? And you can feel the vibes all over the place. So you create these vibes. Now, if you can create bad vibes in your house, and you can, what do you think happens when we got billions of people on the planet Earth with there's nothing more than a pimple on the rear end of the Milky Way? Billions of people having bad vibes. What's happened? The Earth is puking. What is this? Everybody's freaking out. Why? Because everybody's brain is on overload. Nobody knows. No, it's not what, nobody's got a reason. It's God sitting up there. There's nobody down here with a resistor. The whole thing is burnout. They're all nuts. And they said to Jesus, go back, a second coming. He said, you're crazy. I'm not going down there. I'm going down there. Last time was nails. Now they have missiles. I'm not going down. So this is the point. This is the point. The current must be. Give me 10 more minutes. We out here at 12:30. That'll be happy with you. Okay. All right. The current must be resisted. If the current is resisted, then the proper amount of current will go in here, and it will operate properly, and brain cells at the right hemisphere will start operating that hitherto have not operated. Resistance is the key here. Okay. And here is now why. Let's look one more time so we understand it. Can you feel on top of your shoulders? Is there a round thing up on top of here? Okay, that's a head. Inside of the head is a brain. That brain is a computer. Okay, as you've seen here, that brain is electrical circuitry. Okay, if your brain is electrical circuitry, if that circuitry is operated by current, then it must have resistance. It's the same as any other computer, and so you have to treat it exactly the same. You have to understand the circuits, you have to understand the current, and you have to understand the resistance. It is no different than that, okay? Now, if you look, please, on page 57, which I've got a quote from the encyclopedia right in the middle there. And it says the brain works somewhat like both a computer and a chemical factory. Brain cells produce electrical signals and send them from cell to cell along pathways called circuits. All right? Along pathways called circuits. So then Samael is the current that must be resisted by the circuit. And what does it say in James chapter 4 and verse 7? Look on page 989 of your Bible. And it says on James chapter 4 verse 7. And it sums up what you've got to do. All right? It says resist the devil and he'll flee. See? So what do we do? What do you do? What do they do in church? You know what they say in church? Devil, I rebuke you. All right, that's what I want you to do. Sit in front of your computer. Or let's go sit in front of this electric light. I rebuke you. And the light's going to say, I rebuke you too. And if it's time to burn out, it burns out. And when it burns out, you stand here, I lay hands on this thing in the name of Jesus. So what? It's not going to go on anyway until you put a bulb into it. You got to screw it in. No matter what you do, you got to screw the bulb. So the point being, you cannot treat your brain any differently than you treat an electrical appliance. It has to have proper current, proper voltage, proper resistance. The circuits have to operate properly. And if you're going to neglect it, and I would ask you, before you come into this room, how many of you ever even knew that you had a circuit in your brain? How many knew you had any current in your brain? How many knew that you needed resistance? How many even paid attention? And how long have you been working on overload? And then you wonder, Jesus, why am I screwed up? Well, it's the same reason, because you haven't been taking care of yourself. You take care of your foot if it hurts. You take care of your stomach. You take care of your teeth. But the most critical thing that you have, the brain, you haven't a clue. And the reason that you haven't a clue is because you've been submitting yourself to all of these crazy people in robes with stained glass on the wall saying, stay with us, stay with us, stay with us, pass the basket, give us your money, listen, let us read the Bible together, and then you'll get a rich reward after you're dead. Sounds good to me. And you know, the point is, we keep coming back. Tell me more. Because you know what? Everybody knows one thing. Everybody dies. But have you ever seen one person in 3,000 years come back after they've died and said, this really works? Nobody. Not one person has showed up and said, you know, I'm glad I gave that money because I got a place. I got a mansion on a hill in heaven. I got nothing. What? I'm dead. All right. So why is this necessary? We're done, okay? In something such as a computer, you can only have so much current going in, or you're going to burn it out. If you have too much, you burn the circuit. You've heard of people burning out too much. Then you read about resistance. So how do you do this? And this is where we'll end. How specifically do you do this? Let me put a word on the board.
Yoga.
That's the instructions. That's the instructions. Okay? Look at page 60, the material that I just gave you. Or you got last week or whenever you got it. Look at page 60. And on page 60, look at the word yoga. You see it in the middle of the page? Yoga. See what the word means? What's it mean? Yoke, doesn't it? All right? Now open the Bible to page 787. Page 787. Okay? Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. And what does Jesus say? Take my yoke, take my yoga upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. My yoga. Take my yoga. How do I take your yoga? Practice the single eye. Take no thought. Seek within yourself for the kingdom. Take my yoga upon you, and you shall find rest for your soul. Something that most people have never found the whole time they've been alive. You'll find rest for your soul. See? It's meditation. It fixes the mind on the object of knowledge. See right below there? Profound contemplation. And what is profound contemplation?